Hello, Humane Marketers. Sarah Znakrocha here. Welcome to another episode of the Humane Marketing Podcast, a place to be for the generation of marketers who cares. This is the show where we talk about marketing your business in a way that feels good to you, is aligned with your values, and also resonates more with your conscious customers because it's not pushy, ethical, and also beautiful. So if you're a regular here, you know that I'm organizing the conversations around the 7Ps of humane marketing. And if you're new here and this is your first time, welcome. I'm so excited you're here. You may want to download your one-page marketing plan with the 7Ps of humane marketing in the form of a mandala at humane.marketing/one page, the number one and page. So again, humane.marketing/one page. And with that, with no further ado, let's dive into today's conversation. Hey, Viv, so good to speak to you today. I look forward to I'm going to just let in the listeners that we're doing a double episode. So we're recording first for my show, and then I'm going to be recording one for your show. So yay, we get to hang out all morning. So welcome to the Humane Marketing Podcast, Viv. So I'm excited to have you.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm so happy to be here. And what a morning we've got. How exciting it is. It's awesome. I think, we're going to come away from this like bursting at the seams, I think, with so much energy and value that we take.
Exactly. And all these new ideas about social media and marketing and all of that. So
yeah, I'm really excited.
Cool. Well, let's dive right in. I have some big picture questions for you, but then also some nitty gritty, like, how do we do this without social media? Because there's obviously the big picture. So that's kind of where I want to start. I feel like there's maybe some movement starting together with my humane marketing revolution. Maybe there's a movement also away from social media. Yeah. What do you see? What do you hear in the grapevines? What's going on?
Yeah, so I think you become more aware, don't you, of things and movements when you kind of embrace that yourself. So for me, obviously, when I had the idea of I want to go off social media entirely, you start kind of looking around, who else is doing this? Am I crazy? But it was great because the coach I was working with at the time, Greg Faxon, he pivoted away from social media. So I was like, okay, Greg can do it. And then I started looking around and came across Leonie Dawson, who I made 11 million and doesn't use social media now. And look around, there are so many people coming off social media. So I kind of was like, okay, there are people moving away. But the big thing was, can younger businesses, newer businesses do it? Because I was seeing a lot of more established businesses doing it. Multi-billion-dollar businesses doing it. Makeup brands, perfume brands, and Tesla and people like that. So I was like that. So I do think there's a movement. The short answer is yes. I do think there is a movement away from social media. There's a lot, obviously, that sits behind that, and that the rationale. I'm very logical, so for me, I like to see a good return on my investment of my time and energy, and I didn't see that coming through social media. Also, on a kind of more intuitive, emotional level, I just didn't like social media. I've never liked social media, and it just never felt right. And I fell into that trap with my second business, which was a personal brand photography, of really, listening to the experts out there who were saying, you must use social media and you must be on it all the time and you must be responsive and And, I just felt like I was in like social media prison. Like I just didn't have a choice, and I had to do all of this stuff, and it felt horrible, but I did it. And I built a very successful business, but there was always a part of me that was like, I don't like this. And is there another way? And then when I moved into, very naturally into the coaching world, because I built a very successful business, people were saying, how did you do that? And what I was, intuitively, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Instinctively, I was like, I don't like it. It's not really providing me the return on investment, because energetically, I didn't feel aligned with it. So obviously, if you want to talk about sort of energy and what you put out, you're getting return. I just wasn't seeing the return on investment for me in terms of leads. And I found it was such a big sort of energy drain. And that's just not what I wanted to do. So yes, I was like, there's got to be another way. And then I also found my clients were coming to me, and I seemed to be attracting these clients who were like, I don't like social media. I don't want to use social media. Is there another way? And at that point, I had not gone entirely off social media. I was still using Facebook and Instagram, but I was attracting these people who were like, I don't want to use social media. Can you help me? And I wasn't putting that out there as a message at all, but obviously energetically, and I'm not a woo person. I'm just going to say this to everyone out there. I'm not typical. There is a big, and I say that in the kindest possible way, with affection. I'm not, somebody who has studied and a lot of expertise and experience, but I have definitely embraced a lot more, woo in the sense of really tapping into my intuition, and my instincts of what feels good. And I really do believe, obviously, I was putting out this energy that was saying like, social media sucks. It's not the right way to build your business. And I was attracting these people before. And then obviously before I kind of made that decision to really niche into how to market without social media. So that was a very long-winded answer. Yes, there's a movement.
It's all good. It's all good. And there's so many bits and pieces. And I want to go back to one that stood out to me where you mentioned, obviously it's easy for the big companies, the big corporations, or even the small business owners. You mentioned Leonie Dawson. She was on social media before, right? She's built an empire on social media. So in a way, it's like, oh, well, it's easy for them to now say, I'm going off social media because the devil's advocate would say, well, they have already built an audience. So I think it's really relevant that you share, well, we have built businesses before social media and kind of look at these cases, and then also share your experience saying, well, I built a business now without social media, right? Because it's everywhere. And so we're like, well, yeah, but it seems like you have to do it in order to get some kind of audience. It's almost like we have to unlearn everything we learned, all the business advice and marketing advice we got over the years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I built my first 7-figure business without any social media. And yes, I'm that old. Social media did not exist when that business launched. Right. It was never somewhere I needed to kind of go, and yeah, I just didn't do it then. And you look around, as you say, then there's a lot of advice that says you have to use social media but we look at that, and I had a great conversation when I had Leonie Dawson on my show, because she's obviously been in business quite a long time now. And when when social media first arrived and Facebook first appeared, you could put one post out there and it would get like 80 to 90% kind of reach and engagement on it, which was phenomenal. And year on year, it declined, so you're having to put out more and more content to get any kind of engagement and reach. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of very successful entrepreneurs and business owners out there who obviously kind of got on that bandwagon, that social media marketing kind of, and took that opportunity that was there, which was great, to market using social media at a time when it was very effective.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's what they're now kind of selling.
Yeah. And they're not telling you that now they have a team of 10 people who constantly create content and do all the social media management for them.
And I often wonder, if they were to start a business right now, in 2022, what would they do? Because it would not be, I'm not going to say anything, it was easy for them, but it's a very different, horizon now in the marketing world. And I think it's, you can become so far removed, so when you're so successful, if you're still trying to kind of teach people who are early on, you're not kind of on the ground doing those kind of ground level strategies. So how can you then be kind of teaching? It just feels really misaligned for me sometimes. That
it's that cookie cutter approach. This worked for me, so I'm going to teach you and make millions of dollars. Now that there's no guarantee that it's going to work for all these other people.
And I think the big thing for me was always, that was missing in all the courses and trainings I did, and everything I invested in, that nobody said, what feels good to you?
Yeah.
And that was the one question that was missing until I worked with an amazing coach who was like, what do you want it to feel like? What do you want it to look like? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there's a choice here.
Is it
And
permission? Yeah, it's
the
just permission
permission.
giving. Yeah.
And I think for so many business owners I work with who come to me, they don't know, there's no awareness of other approaches to marketing. Because when we start a business, most people start a business, whether you say you're a therapist or you want to be a business coach or whatever it is, where have you already kind of been hanging out on a personal level when you maybe were in your corporate career? On social media. So you're kind of like, it's familiar, it's comfortable. So I'm going to go there instinctively and automatically. And I'm not going to explore those other options. Totally. Yeah, because this feels like something that I can do and it's easy, and everybody says, the noise out there.
You have to be there.
You have to be there, and this is going to be the easiest way to grow your business, and it's just not the case now, and there is so much kind of data out there to kind of back this up that says this is not the most effective way to build your business now and to grow your audience, and what do we know? We need leads. We need an audience, in order to get clients and customers, and doing it through social media, especially organically, is not effective. And I was speaking to a Facebook ads manager last week who was very much working with small businesses. And she said, honestly, I cannot sell what I do anymore because I don't believe it's the right thing for small businesses, because since the iOS changes last year, it's even harder now. And, if you want to spend 10 to 20 pounds per day on ads, you're just not going to get the results, So she was saying it like instinctively, and for her and intuitively, it just didn't feel right to be selling that. And so she's going to come on the podcast and talk about that to people. That's now that amazing. Actually even the pay to play, because I've always said, if you want to do it, it's pay to play, but actually it's pay to play if you've got a lot of money to invest, and a lot of money to invest in it. And also you have many other strategies supporting it. You think about the big businesses out there, they are not just pushing out paid ads now. They are looking to other means of bringing in leads.
Yeah. Wow. Such a good example of a humane marketer. And often, the way you come to humane marketing, it is by kind of tuning into your integrity and saying, can I still do this? And for some people, it might still work. She might still get clients and get paid, right?
Yeah.
But she can't sleep at night because she's like, I know this is not working for my clients. They're just paying too much for the results that they're getting. And I just saw a stat also, someone sharing on LinkedIn, because that's kind of my turf where I hang out with LinkedIn ads. 97% of people don't click on the page that you want them to click on. So they never click over to your landing page. Wow. So this ad guy was saying the new way of looking at ads is kind of like looking at them as billboards. So you engage with the audience that is already there in your network. You don't send them somewhere else and then try to sell them something there, right? That doesn't mean we make our content all look like ads, but we engage differently. But yeah, like you pay tons and tons of money for these ads and they don't convert because nobody actually clicks on them anymore.
Yeah, it's out there, the data, the return on investment. It's low. It is low. And again, you've got to have a lot of money, and you want to have an ads manager because there's so many changes with algorithms and everything.
You could spend days just doing that.
Oh yeah. And what's working this month might not work next month. So ads are a minefield of that, a minefield of their own if you want to do that. But yeah, organically, I think there's just a whole reframing that I say to people, like, if you love, for example, Facebook groups, because there is a big thing, the community aspect that people love with Facebook groups. But what's happening is a lot of people are hanging out on Facebook and Instagram and places and trying to attract people into those kind of groups and communities. And that's really difficult. So I say to people, look outside of social media. How can you bring people in to your world, into your email list first and foremost, because that's your valuable asset. And then if you want them to come hang out with you, signpost them from your emails, come hang out with me on Instagram or Facebook group or whatever, but stop trying to build your audience like on these social media platforms, build it, via an email list, as I say, because that is, the gold, that's the pot of gold in your business, and then direct them if that's what you want, because then they're going to see more of you. They're going to see your emails more than they're going to see that content. And that's a much better way to kind of bring people in. And, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't own social media. We all know that.
Yeah.
I missed the blackout last year because it didn't affect me. But obviously I woke up to, lots of emails saying, we kind of didn't have social media, have an email list, blah, blah, blah. You don't own this.
Yeah.
And we're well aware of that. So I just say kind of flip your whole approach to how you're using social media if you do want to keep using social media, so that you're not kind of so kind of in that world. I think that's the problem. We need to look outside and expand our vision beyond social media. And I think at the moment, a lot of people are kind of stuck and to that tunnel vision that this is the only way.
Yeah. And I just want to add, I'm kind of allergic to this term community on, Facebook, when it's not actually a community. It's more an audience for the guru to, find clients.
Yes.
And it's a misuse, in my opinion, of the word community, because a community is, interconnected. It's not just connected to the guru who wants to sell to you. So that's a whole different story.
I absolutely agree. And I've been reading the book You Are Invited by John Levy. It's a great book. And it talks about how we need like actual connection with people, like human connection, and how we have, we know more people in this digital era, when we have connections, but we're not really connected, and we're so much more isolated. And I think this comes with this misconception of community. I'm part of a community, but actually a true community,
very lonely.
Yes, very isolating and lonely. So I absolutely agree with you on that. There's a whole episode just on community.
Just on that.
And that idea. Yeah, absolutely.
So people are probably just, listening, nodding, saying yes, yes, yes. But they will also want to know, well, okay, if not social media, then what? Okay, we heard you say, we need an email list, but how do we get people on this email list? It probably feels like the chicken and the egg. So take us kind of through some pragmatic things on how to get more people on your email list, because we still want to grow an audience that we can send these emails to.
Absolutely. And this is the big thing that I mentioned, obviously, that the Facebook and social media outage last year. And, I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a moment to say the thing that really riled me waking up to those emails the next day was, you need to have an email list. You don't own social media. And I'm like, we're not idiots. We all know this. But not one person offered the how. How do you build an email list? So I was like, do they even know the answer to this beyond social media? Because these were a lot of obviously like social media experts out there, So, for me, I'm very much about the how and the practicality. There is no secret here, and I obviously, there's a guide that I've shared with you, giving you the link for 21 ways, my favorite 21 ways to market without social media. There are hundreds.
Yeah. And there's a great video on your website as well, on the homepage, where you take us through some of these things. So
absolutely. And I've offered like 21 ways for kind of people who are more service-based businesses, because that's my area of expertise. But, product-based businesses, there are additional ways as well. Anyway, so
your favorite three ways.
My favorite 3 ways. Again, for me personally, and I just want you guys who are listening to take this, don't just try and replicate me, because I have there are different marketing archetypes. So what works for me may not work for you. Depends on your business, depends on who you are. And again, there's a whole other kind of quiz and things you can do there to figure out who that is, what that is. So for me, best ways for me to grow my list. I collaborate in bundles. They're really great for me because I get to connect with other people. I build partnerships. So bundles, for anyone out there, what is a bundle? You're kind of going, hey, I don't know what that is. So this is where maybe like 20 businesses come together and they put something in there. So a free course, a free ebook, or something that they would normally charge for. And they all put some offering into this bundle basket, virtual bag. And then what happens is everybody shares this with their own email list. So you add value, you give a lot of value to your own audience, saying, hey, these are other things that could be really useful, and only obviously do bundles that have kind of collaborations and contributions from people who are going to help add value to your audience. And so, you are suddenly sharing you're offering and getting like your, eyes on who you are and what you do, to 20 other people's audiences. And it's
so is this like a course or some kind of mini program that you're offering?
Could be a course, mini program, ebook, could be templates, could be like the 20 emails you want to send when you're launching something, whatever it might be. So it's a great way to kind of look at that. So for me, bundles work really, really well.
And are you usually the one organizing these bundles, or once you organize one, then you start to kind of know the people and you get invited? How do you get started with bundles?
Yeah, so you could organize a bundle. I did a bundle last year, but you can just contribute to bundles. You don't have to ever run your own if you don't want to. And the great thing is kind of once you get and discover one, and how do you find them? Google bundles, ask in your networks, look around, check out emails. People are normally talking about them. So kind of find out who's run one. You'll have missed it probably, in terms of getting in that one, but get in touch with them. Like, look at who else was contributing, because most people kind of are on the circuit doing the rounds, so if that's a strategy that works, you will find people will generally be kind of contributing
right
in that same network. And it opens up a lot of connections for you, in terms of you can then collaborate and partner with people one-on-one. You can look at joint ventures. So it opens up many opportunities if you make the effort, because they're quite anonymous in the sense that you can just put your thing in and never speak to another person who's in that bundle. So, utilize it, either reach out to people, kind of say, hey, we're both in the same bundle. I really like what you do. I think we've got some crossover, so take it that step further. Some people will, some bundle organizers will run like a Zoom kind of session where you can all get to kind of connect and meet and greet, which is really nice to actually kind of hear from people and really say,
totally
like,
agree. Yeah. I always recommend that when I'm on a summit. I'm like, let's connect with each other for the summit speakers. How come people forget that part? It's such an important part, because we are also wanting to connect with peers and like-minded people. So yeah, I agree with you. It's so great to have that for bundles or summits or conferences as well.
Yeah, because you get to hear more about the business and what it is they do, which when you kind of just see one offering in a bundle, you don't get the whole picture of that business. So I think it's such a great way to do that. So if you are going to run a bundle, I would highly recommend you do a Zoom session where you can, it doesn't have to be long, 30-40 minutes, where people can kind of just go around hot seat, introduce themselves. So bundles are like a great, and the reason I like them is you get a really great return on your investment. You can create one asset, so one mini course, one, ebook, whatever it is, and you can use it in many different bundles. So you do that piece of work once and you get to repurpose it. And that's a really great thing, because we don't want to add and create lots of extra work for ourselves. And I would say if you want to kind of go down that bundle route, and that's going to be a core strategy, have a few different offerings and you can just rotate them for different bundles. So
just a follow-up question, like in terms of the offering, what have you seen kind of the value? Is this something that's worth $50 or $500 or more?
It entirely depends on the bundle. And I don't think the value is the big pull for people. I don't think people kind of go, oh, this would cost me $500. I'm going to go for that. It's really about understanding who it's targeted at, the audience, and what are their biggest struggles. And this is where I have seen people say, well, I did a bundle and I didn't get any signups. And I didn't create.
So it's the wrong offer or the wrong audience.
Or people downloaded it because they were kind of just going through the whole thing, downloading everything, and then they didn't get any leads from it. If it's right and you have pitched it right, you should, get people joining your mailing list. You should get people then booking in to have like calls or conversations, or if you want to do tripwire offers, you should be, that next step should happen. And that's the process to kind of really look at. So yeah, bundles works for me. And then speaking, I love kind of guesting on people's podcasts and in kind of people's masterminds, really adding like value. And as you know, I can talk for a long time on my topic. So yeah, I really like to go in and guest speak. And I think that adds a different level of connection as well to bundles. So bundles, I believe you've got a longer nurture kind of journey for those people that are coming in. Whereas when you go in and guest speak, I think that's fast tracked as well, hugely, because obviously, there's trust imparted. There's so much that comes with that. So for me, guest speaking, I am really energized by having two-way conversations. And this is interesting because my archetype is a salesperson or a persuader. Is a slightly nicer way of putting it, I think, because kind of salesperson brings with it not always the best vibes. So yeah, me, it would, for a persuader archetype, people would always say, well, video is great for you. But I hated video. I hated doing things like on my own because there wasn't the two-way like exchange and that energy. So I found it really difficult. Whereas if I'm doing things like that, now we're having a conversation, video, it works so differently for me. Yeah. It's a great way to do that. So yeah, I like that kind of interaction. I like to speak to people. And that's, I think, why social media wasn't great for me. It just didn't feel like I was speaking to people.
Yeah. What's the third
one?
Sorry,
that was number 2. Yeah. Totally.
I'm like, waiting.
waiting. And the third one for growing audiences for me is podcasting. So for me, I have my own podcast and I love that and kind of putting that out there. And it's an interesting one because it works in 2 ways. And as I say, it works for me, for my archetype. It works in terms of it can bring in new audiences, but it's also fantastic for adding value and nurturing my existing audiences. So it works, it's like a double whammy. So if you think about like, what is your intention when you're using social media and you're trying to kind of give people value and stuff, but it allows an opportunity to go so much deeper than kind of like the odd post. So that's something that's really effective. And the amount of people I get on calls with who want to work with me and they say, oh, I've been listening to your podcast, and I love it when people message, they go, I'm in California and I'm listening to your podcast, and I love it. And this is great because you're kind of seeing that maybe people haven't been ready to work with you, but they've been getting this value from you, and kind of understanding how that works in your marketing process is really effective. So you can use it as a kind of lead generator and then as a nurture sort of converter as well.
Yeah, it totally. It's like in humane marketing, we're all about bringing more of you to your marketing. And that's what you do in your podcast. People really get to know you, your values, your worldview, what you stand for, because you're not just in promotion mode all the time. I feel like on social media, a lot of people are kind of going into promotion mode, right?
Yeah.
Where on social media, on podcast, we're not in promotion mode. We're not promoting anything. We're just having a deep conversation. And so that's when I feel like it's more real. Yeah. I mean, there's also podcasts where I feel like, wow, okay, that's not real. Like they're still like kind of like, I want to just kind of scratch the surface and go, show me your real human being. But usually you can tell, okay, this feels like, oh, I'm really speaking to Viv, and that's how she is in real life as well.
Yeah, and I think this is the beauty as well when you come away from social media. If you think about how you utilize social media now, it's so much is a quantity kind of content creation approach. You just need to push out content in the hope that it's going to get seen multiple times a day to have any chance of being seen by the people that are in your world. Whereas I think when we come away from social media, we start serving with content that goes so much deeper, whether that's podcasts, blogs, maybe YouTube, how-to videos, whatever that is, you get the opportunity to go so much deeper. And I think that's where the true value lies, and you can give everything away, and I don't hold back, because at the end of the day, people come to me because they're like, I still need help like implementing this. I need accountability. I just need support. I need someone to really kind of help guide me.
Yeah, totally agree. I think it's actually it's the opposite effect. If you share more, people are like, oh, wow, now I can really see what it would be like to work with her, instead of, oh, just give me your top 3 tips and then don't go into details. That's just kind of superficial.
Yeah. But the big thing is, just to kind of sort of bring together, they were my sort of top 3 ways, but the fastest way to grow your audience off social media is to leverage, to borrow audiences. There are 3 ways that you can grow an audience. You can buy an audience, which we've touched on today. You can build an audience, so building like a Facebook group, a community, and then also, blogging would be kind of building an audience that way. Or you can borrow an audience, so borrowing other people's audiences, and I think sometimes people think, oh, that's not great, but borrowing audiences is a great way, because actually you're giving value. You're giving value that that audience, you know, maybe are not getting from the person who's kind of leading that community, known as a hub, you know. So actually bring in that outside expertise that can really serve deeper. And that, you know, that's giving. You are giving. So you're not kind of taking away, saying, well, I'm borrowing and I'm getting people signing up to my list and taking away. You're not, you're adding value. And that's brilliant. If people kind of resonate with what you offer and your unique way of delivery, then that's a fantastic thing, you know. So borrowing, you know, audiences, and maybe borrowing is not the best term, because I think it brings maybe again like negative kind of connotations for people, but that is fundamentally like the best way, the fastest way to grow your audience.
To us, what we use, one of the P's of the humane marketing mandala is partnership. And to me, it's partnering. You know,
it is partnering. Borrowing is
partnering with other entrepreneurs and realizing that your clients gain something, I gain something, because I'm exposing my clients to an expertise that I don't have. Yeah. And so it really is partnering. And I think we need to find our way back to that. You know, it's part of this isolation that we kind of learned over the last 20 years. It's like everybody on their own. No, why, you know, we're aligned, our values are aligned. Why not help each other grow our businesses?
Absolutely. And, you know, if you think back to how, you know, we survived back, you know, when we were like Neanderthals and, you know, Paleolithic man and everything, you know, and we were at risk of being eaten by saber-toothed tiger, you know, that community, you know, and that partnering, it, you know, was an integral part of our survival. And I think that's why we struggle so much emotionally and mentally with this isolation now, because we need that as human beings. And I think this whole thing with partnerships is just great, because you get to connect with people. You know, you get to hop on a Zoom, and maybe you're not in the same room physically with somebody, but, you know, having that face-to-face connection and having that one-on-one interaction is so much more powerful, you know, and opens up so many more opportunities, because we're all connected. You know, that one person is connected to so many other people and has their own networks and communities that potentially, you know, they can put you in touch with. So it's just a big kind of, great way.
I started not offering a replay for my workshops or, you know, webinars, but to me, they're really workshops because they're participative.
Yes.
And, you know, I do every time I send it out, I do get 1 or 2 nasty emails for not offering a replay. Again, it's because we have gotten so trained to be spoon-fed more and more content and more information, that people just sign up to 20 webinars and just get the content and then feel even more anxious and overloaded. So I'm like, we need to move away from that. And like you said, have real human connections, get onto a Zoom call where there's other people you don't know, and be in community with these people. So I build in a break where we say, let's be human with each other, and let's pause and let's see each other, you know, fellow humans going through this experience of being an entrepreneur. That's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's an unlearning. It's a lot of unlearning.
Yeah. We're such, I mean, like you say, we're a society where everything's on demand. You know, we get stimulation, we get, you know, social, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry. Validation, we get social validation, you know, for instant gratification from checking social media, you know, Amazon Prime, we can have things instantly, you know, on-demand TV, everything's there. You know, we're not used to having to wait as well, is another big aspect of that, you know, and it's crazy times. It's, you know, we are overstimulated. I think someone said to me that in the course of, is it a day or an hour now, we have more stimulation than cavemen would have had within their entire life. Wow. And that's scary. Yeah. And I think Neil Patel, if you don't know who Neil Patel is, like big on, like he created Ubersuggest, which is a great kind of online SEO search tool and things. And he put up, I think it was Neil Patel that talked about the attention span of a goldfish, I think is 9 seconds. And I think in 2016 or 17, like the human like attention span was something like 13 seconds. And now it's shorter in 2022 than that of a goldfish. That is scary. Yeah. And that has come from this like constant, like I think this on-demand society and having this constant stimulation. Yeah.
So where do we go from here? Like, where do you see, how do you see social media evolving over the next, let's just say 5 years? I don't think we can even plan 10 years ahead anymore. So let's just see 2 to 5 years. How do you see it evolving, since there is this movement away from it, I guess?
Oh, well, I think there will still be so many people who continue to use it because they believe it's the only way, especially people early on in their journey. So I think they will be drawn to it again, as for the reasons I cited. I use it socially. It's addictive, first and foremost. We have to remember people are not going to come away because it is an addiction. And so it's still gonna be massively prominent. I don't think social media is ever going to go away, and I don't necessarily think it needs to. For lots of people, it's a great way to stay connected with friends and family, maybe. But from a business perspective, I think we're going to see a lot more people after sort of 6 to 12 months in business kind of saying, this isn't working. This is not giving me, the clients. I'm just not getting the leads and clients, and I need another way. Yeah. And I think we'll start seeing more people moving away from social media as that core kind of approach and strategy.
Yeah. And like you said, it's a good tool, I guess, to stay in touch with family and friends. And so for that, we'll keep using it. But yeah, I agree with you. There's probably gonna be, and it's a good thing. It's almost like you have to go through it, to see, oh, this is not working for me. If we all knew what was working right from the start, life would be too easy. So it's like you have to go through some motions and see, okay, this is not working for me. Also to learn about yourself. As we said, it's a lot, the entrepreneurial journey is a lot about learning to find out what works for you. And so maybe we just need to first learn, okay, this is not working for me.
Yeah, what feels good. And and I think again, thinking about the people that come to me, they kind of say, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. And I don't do it, so this is the other thing. I'm not consistent. So it's not working. So
why not give it up altogether, then feel shame about not doing it, right?
Yeah,
that's another piece, the shame.
The shame is massive, that people feel, and like this guilt, and why, and why am I not doing it? And I've learned all the techniques and strategies, but this shame, massive. And
this has been so good. Thank you so much, Viv. I want to come full circle, but share again, first of all, where people can find your report with the 21 ways, so where they can connect with you.
It's dead easy. It's www.vivguide.com/21. That's the number 21 ways, WAYS. That's it. So vivguide.com/21 ways. And you can get your free guide there. You can hear more from me on my podcast, Marketing Without Social Media. And I've shared some real deep dives recently into kind of bundles, if that's something that's of interest. We've got summits coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, all the different kind of approaches that I talk about within that guide, we do a lot kind of deeper dives about how effective they are, the pros and cons. So you can kind of explore and get an insight into maybe what feels right for you before you kind of tackle things and invest in kind of learning how to do things.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing those resources. And it's almost funny, like, when I usually ask, where can people find you? It's like this long list of, on Instagram, I'm this, on Twitter, I'm this. You're like, no, there's my website, and that's where we connect.
Yeah. Connect with me on email, say hi. And, I always say, if you want to just email me, just drop me an email, hello@vivguide.com. And I love that. I truly do reply personally to every email that comes through to my inbox in the first instance from everybody, because I like saying hi. We're people, we want to connect, and I like to hear what you do. So tell me, share with me your story.
Nice. Thank you so much. I have one last question. Sure. What are you grateful for today or this week?
Oh, I've done my gratitude diary this morning. I was really grateful that my children both slept all night last night in their own beds, because they have not been sleeping well over the last couple of weeks. I was saying to Sarah, they've been ill. So I was really grateful to have a good sleep last night to help me kind of prepare for today. And that seems really selfish, but it's a real thing.
No, it's so important. Like if we're not taken care of, then we can't take care of others, first of all. And who's going to do our business?
Exactly. And I had, my eldest is not quite 6 yet. She's still 5. We've had nearly 6 years of no sleep. So, they were never great sleepers. My eldest has never been a great sleeper. So she is a lot better now. So I'm always grateful when they sleep all night.
Yeah, hang in there.
It's fine. It's, and I like that they come and they feel comfortable coming to get me and say, I just need my youngest, I say, why are you out of bed? She goes, I just need a mama hug at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, I can't send you away, can I? Come and have a mama hug if you need it. So yeah, that's my gratitude.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being on the Humane Marketing Show.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks so much for watching and being part of a generation of marketers who cares for yourself, for your clients, and for the planet. We really are change makers before we are marketers. So go ahead, be the change you want to see in the world. And I hope to see you again next week. Take care.